Damn. Yeah, sorry about that little internet issue there. Cover one or two more videos. That's all bullshit. So again, you got a shooter. He had an illegal gun in 2003. He was given 3 months probation. There you go. And of course, they don't say that. Let's see one more. Damn, what do I got to do, bro?
Breaking news story: a mass shooting in Philadelphia's King Sessing neighborhood. We learned overnight police found a fifth victim who died. In total, we are told the gunman shot 7 people, including 2 children.
It was a horrifying scene. The gunman was wearing a bulletproof vest while he went on that deadly killing spree. The shooting starting around 8:30 last night in the area of 56th Street and Chester Avenue.
A guy with a long gun. All right, all units use caution. We got somebody with a long gun. 5432 Chester. 5432 Chester. We have 2 vehicles moving out.
That was police radio as the chaotic scene unfolded. Officers put their own lives in danger, engaging the shooter while he was firing with a rifle. 2 people are in custody this morning.
For the latest, let's go on over to Action News reporter Corey Davis. He's live with what we know as of this morning on what has happened.
Tam and Matt, good morning. Yeah, it's a fluid situation. The total number of those injured changing a couple of times, but once again, 7 people shot, were being told by police, 5 of them dead, 2 injured. The two who are injured, the 2 who survived rather, are ages 2 and 13 years old. I want to give you a look behind us here where we are. So the streets are now back open. This is Fraser Street you're looking at. This is like halfway between 56th and 57th. But Fraser Street is where this all ended. Police say the suspect, he was loaded with ammunition and had protective gear on. Take a listen to what Commissioner Outlaw says officers encountered when they came upon him.
Our officers were able to apprehend the male in the rear alley of 1600 Fraser Street. And when they did, this male was wearing a bulletproof vest with multiple magazines in the vest. He also had a scanner and an AR style rifle and a handgun.
That scanner the commissioner mentioned is a police scanner, listening to radio traffic. So this all started around 8:30 last night in the area of 56 and Chester Street here in the King Sessing section of Philadelphia. Police say people called 911. Others flagged down officers. We're being told those officers found gunshot victims and began preparing to scoop them up in patrol cars to rush them to the hospital. That's when we're being told the officers heard multiple gunshots going off. They ran toward that gunfire, and we're told the officers found the 40-year-old suspect. They ran after him while he was still shooting. Officers say they were able to corner him in the back alley along the 1600 block of Fraser Street. That's when they approached him while he was wearing that bulletproof vest, carrying the loaded magazines, a police scanner, the AR-style rifle, and the handgun. Police were able to take him into custody without any further injury. I want to give you a look at this video, too. It was an emotional scene at Penn Presbyterian Hospital. Family members of the victims who died finding out the bad news. We aren't showing them out of respect for their privacy, but I can tell you they were very emotional and devastated. In all, police once again saying 7 people were shot, 5 are dead, 2 injured. 2 of the survivors are children ages 2 and 13. They are stable this morning. The 5 people who died range in ages possibly between 20 and 59 years old. So the final victim that police found, the 5th victim who died, they say that he was found about 4 hours later in the living room of a home on 56th Street. It happened when that victim's father came home and discovered his son on the living room floor with multiple gunshot wounds. Investigators say they believe that homicide is connected because the shell casings in that home match the shell casings, the size and caliber of the shell casings found out here in the street. Another thing is officers also took a second person into custody, saying that they believe that a man picked up a gun during all of this and fired shots toward that initial shooter. So now 2 people in custody. But now reporting live here in King Sessing, Corey Davis, Channel 6 Action News.
Thank you, Corey.
Interesting. So Post Millennial is also covering this. They got an article on this. So let's see what the Post Millennial says. And then I got one more story. BLM supporter Kimberly Watson Carricker named a suspect in Philadelphia mass shooting. The suspect wanted in connection with the shooting in Southwest Philadelphia on Monday night has been identified as 40-year-old Kimberly Watson Carricker. According to the Inquirer, Carricker was arrested on Monday evening after allegedly shooting and killing 5 people and injuring 2 children in the Kingsessing neighborhood. Police say they apprehended a male suspect who was wearing a ballistic vest. Police say outlaw and law enforcement responded to gunfire in the area of South 56th Street and Chester Avenue shortly before 8:30. Around 10, police followed and cornered the suspect in an alleyway on the 1600 block of South Fraser Street. Posted Black Lives Matter. Multiple posts showcasing guns and shooting, including rehearsing one post showing children shooting, as well as one person holding a flintlock pistol. Yeah, I don't care about that. This is a breaking story and will be updated. Well, still, again, I'm just upset that everyone's coming out and blaming the guns. Yet, according to the New York Post, that's the source and description. This person had an illegal gun in 2003 and they were given 3 years probation. So no jail time for an illegal gun. I'm assuming probably because black. But let's do one more story from the Post Millennial, just to have some other stuff going. Let's see. We'll go to, there was one I wanted to do from the bottom. Let's see. This is the one that stuck out to me. This is pretty funny. California Reparations Task Force calls for termination of child support interest debt for black parents. The task force recommends that the legislature enact legislation to terminate all interest accrued on back child support, requiring only the payment of the principal owed. California Reparations Task Force is asking state lawmakers to enact legislation that will eliminate all interest accrued on unpaid child support payments, stating that the laws are discriminatory against black residents because of the disproportionate amount of African Americans who are burdened with child support debt. I'm going to read that one more time. California's Reparations Task Force is asking state lawmakers to enact legislation that will eliminate all interest accrued on unpaid child support payments, stating that the laws are discriminatory against black residents because of the disproportionate amount of African Americans who are burdened with child support debt. The Reparations Task Force is also recommending the state forgive all debt associated with unpaid child support for the state's black residents, according to the group's final report, which was written over the course of 2 years. New York Post reports 27% of California's child support arrears was unpaid interest. One effect of these long-standing harms is the disproportionate amount of African Americans who are burdened with child support debt, the report states. Although African Americans are less than 7% of California's population, they represent 18% of the parents who owe child support debt, 0.43 under current law. California charges 10% interest on back child support, which is more than 3 times greater than the national average. Well, that's probably due to the state. I'm not sure that has to do with white supreme pizza. I think that's because you live in one of the most expensive states in the country, if not the most expensive state in the country. The task force recommends that the legislature enact legislation to terminate all interest accrued on back child support, requiring only the payment of the principal owed. At a minimum, the proposal recommends that the legislature eliminates the prospective accrual of interest on child support debt for low-income parents, the report states. Child support. Why shouldn't you pay child support? Why do you get to make kids and have no fucking accountability for it? The task force further recommends that the legislature amend Family Code Section 17560, the offers and compromise provision, to allow for offers and compromise and forgiveness of child support debt based solely on a parent's financial circumstances and ability to pay. The task force recommends that the legislature amend Section 17560 to eliminate the requirements that the amount of the compromise equal or exceed the amount the state would be reimbursed under federal programs like temporary assistance to needy families. So also TANF. The California Reparations Task Force was created by Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom in 2020, with members appointed in 2021 to study the economic effects of historical slavery and discrimination. The group is then asked to provide recommendations to the California state legislature on how the state can provide reparations to its Black residents. In May, during legislative session, the Reparations Task Force recommended a $1.2 million reparations payout to every Black resident in California, accusing the progressive state of wrongdoing descendants of Black slaves. The task force also demanded to have veto power over the state's real estate decisions in order to give Black people first priority in the renting and buying markets. After reading the 1,064-page final report, which includes categories such as enslavement, racial terror, racism, and environment and infrastructure, and the wealth gap, the California state legislature will determine which recommendations are approved or denied. Oh boy. Anyway, I'm big time. That's all the time we got. We'll be back on Friday. Hopefully Wicked will be with us. Talk to you then.